Maybe your life isn't falling apart. Maybe you're just mid initiation. I want to unpack that today really fully because I think those two sentences contain some of the most, maybe the most important reframe available for anyone who's in the middle of a major life transition right now that has no idea what they're experiencing. They know they're going through a change, but like, what do I do with it? So I want to give you the actual scholarship behind it, the anthropology, the etymology, the historical context, because honestly, this is the real deal. This is a documented, cross-cultural, structurally consistent human experience. And we have almost entirely lost the plot when it comes to big life transitions. So let's start at the beginning. In 1909, the French anthropologist Arnold van Gennep published this book, The Rites of Passage. It's since been translated. He spent years studying the transition rituals across dozens of cultures, from death to birth to puberty to marriage to the passage between social roles, through movements between seasons, and across all of them, geography or era, there was the same three-part structure. I mean, that's pretty incredible. Every genuine rite of passage moves through these three phases. The first he called the separation. The initiate is deliberately removed from their familiar world, their previous role, their established identity, and then they're taken out of their ordinary structure and out of their ordinary social life to experience the next part, which is the liminal. That's the second phase. And this is the one that I want to spend most of our time on today because the liminal is the threshold. It is the in between. It is the state of suspension where you're not who you once were and you're also not who you're to become yet. You are, in Van Gennep's language, between classifications, outside of normal social order, neither here nor there. And then the third phase is called the reincorporation. This is where the initiate is returned into the community changed. They are different. They are coming back into society with a new role, sometimes even a new name, a new place in the order of things. And that means the transition is complete. It's witnessed by the community and it's real and it's complete. It literally is tied up with a beautiful bow. Now, another anthropologist, British guy named Victor Turner, he was working in the 1960s on this framework, and he went deeper into the middle phase, and he called the liminal people the threshold people, and he described them as betwixt and between. They are, for a time, no one in particular. They are unformed. And Turner argued that this unformedness is a condition. It is a necessary condition for the genuine transformation that is to take place. You have to become nobody before you can become somebody new. Is that not like so freeing? You have to become completely untethered before you can fully become the new version of yourself. So let me take you into the words for a moment because I feel like this is where it gets really interesting. So the word liminal, it's from the Latin limen, the doorsill, the threshold, the crossing point. The liminal is literally the passage before here and there. It is a crossing. And then initiation, meaning to go into. An initiation is a going in. It is the entrance into a new interior territory. You are going into something for the first time. And the word ritual, it's related to the Sanskrit word rita, which means the cosmic order, a proper order of things. Ritual is the container. It is the form that holds the formless. It is what gives the transformation its structure, what makes it survivable, what makes it meaningful, what makes it matter. And it's what allows the community to witness it, and it allows the initiate to actually complete it because there's a conscious involvement in what's happening. And so I think what we're missing in this modern space of reinvention is we're talking about like a glow up and we're talking about a new morning routine or some aesthetic transformation, this before and after, do a divine pivot, it's a rebrand, me 2.0, and it's the end. Nobody's talking about the middle. Nobody's talking about the grief of losing who you were even if you chose to leave, the actual genuine confusion of being an unformed version of yourself. And there's a fear there, and it doesn't have anything to do with making a mistake or anything like that. It has everything to do with being temporary, to be no one in particular, to have the death of the old self before the new one arrives. And that's scary. It's scary to address. And I want to be precise by when I mean grief, because when I mean grief, I really do mean grief. I think we underestimate it. When you are in a major identity transition, when your old life is over and your old role is gone and there's no longer the old you that's operative, there's grief. Real grief, like real sadness. Even if you wanted the change, even if the old identity wasn't working anymore, even if you chose it, even if intellectually you know this was the necessary step, there still is grief. The old self was real. It had weight. It shaped you. It shaped your days. It shaped your relationships. It shaped who you are in the world. And then it's gone. That loss is a real thing. And I don't know if we give people permission to grieve it because, I don't know, we're too busy. We want to rush into the new thing. We don't want to sit in the discomfort of grief. But I think these ancient cultures really understood something that we forgot. And transformation is something that we don't do alone. It's not something to be done over a weekend with a journal and a vision board. It was this collective witnessing, and the community separated you deliberately, held them in that space, provided guides or elders that was like, hey, we've done this before. We've made this crossing before. We know it. You're going to be okay. And you're going to be witnessed in this new emergence, named, new, publicly. It was just understood as a structural necessary cost of becoming. You were not broken in these societies. You were literally thrown into the fire to become a freaking phoenix. It's so powerful. And so I think this is what happens. I think right now people experience liminal as something's gone wrong in their life, and they deem it as evidence that they're not resilient enough, or they don't have it together enough, or they're not doing enough inner work, or they're not meditating enough, or whatever, enough. They try to accelerate through, to rush to a new identity without it actually being ripe and ready, which is kind of producing this like fragile, almost performative version of a future self that's going to collapse under pressure. And then you try to go back. You try to reconstruct the old identity, reopen an old chapter, and return to the old, even though it's not there anymore. Or you go numb and you doom scroll and you stay busy. Maybe you just oscillate between the two until it stops hurting, which it never fully does because it doesn't go away when you ignore it. We know that. What you resist persists. It becomes the house that you're living in, you know? So all of those responses to the liminal extend the liminal further than its necessary length. You cannot complete the initiation ritual by running from it. It requires a passage. And I want to say this clearly. A lot of people right now are mid-initiation and think that they're falling apart, and you're not. You're not. If you think you're falling apart, you're not. You are literally in a threshold moment, and there's a difference between those two things. I'm getting really passionate, but I want to zoom out for a second because I don't think this is an individual experience. I think that we are actually in a collective liminal moment. I feel like millions of people are simultaneously in the threshold, and a lot of us don't have a name for it. There's an author, her name is Sharon Blackie, and she wrote the book If Women Rose Rooted, and she said that we are starving for myth. We are starving for the stories that will help us make sense of the times that we find ourselves in. And I think myth in its proper sense, it's not a false story. It's literally a true story told in symbolic form. It is a narrative that gives experience its shape and its meaning. The mythic dimension of the liminal is this place of transformation. It is the suspension. It's the grief. It's the loss of identity. It is a literal structural thing that is studied and understood. And without that mythic container, without the story that tells us that this is a passage, this is normal, you are left alone with the experience and no way to actually interpret it. You think that your life is falling apart, but you're literally just in the middle. And that's so normal. It's so normal for us to feel that way. And I think the part that I want to build towards, because I want to get practical with it, is the liminal space has rules. It has a structure. It has a container. There's a rhyme and the reason. There's structural conditions that, if understood, it makes a difference between moving through the threshold with some grace for yourself and getting stuck in it for years. They've documented some of them, and I have my own observations from working with women in this exact space. I'm going to save a full rundown of the rules for another video. I want to give that the time and space that it deserves, but I'll tell you the foundation. The first rule is simply that you got to know that you're in it. Most people in the liminal don't know they're in the liminal. They think that they're failing, or that everything's falling apart, or that everything's crumbling. They think the in-between is like a detour when it's actually the road. Naming that territory is literally the beginning of navigating it. We'll go deeper on this in Substack. You know where to find me. If this landed, if you watched some of this and a part of you felt seen or understood, if there's a part of you that felt like, wow, this is what I've been living in, then I want to talk to you. On Substack, we have the full Gennep takedown. We have the etymology. We have a little bit more on Sharon Blackie and her quote, and more on what it means to be in the collective liminal right now. The link is in the description. And let me just end with this. If you're in the middle of a threshold right now and you want the map, I'm accepting one-on-one clients. The link is in the description for that too. I'll see you in the next one.